Okay, I have been waiting to film this video for so freaking long, like so long, and I'm so pleased I can finally talk about it. But yeah, hello. Welcome to a video if you're new, welcome back to a video if you're a subscriber. Today we are talking about how I am autistic. So excited that I can finally say it. Like, I'm so excited. If you guys have been subscribers, this has been the thing that I've been telling you guys that I can't talk about yet, I'm not willing to talk about yet. When I've been mentioning it in the background of things, when you've seen my lanyard, you've seen things. This is what it's been, and I'm so pleased I can finally talk about it. We're gonna talk about everything. I haven't planned this video. This is literally just gonna be like a word bomb? Mouth vomit? This is just going to be a whole load of info dumping for you guys about this. I've got my water because I'm worried it's going to be a long one. I'm sorry if it is a long one, but we're going to have to talk about it because I've been waiting to talk about it for a long time and I'm going to talk about it in the future. Right, hang on. I feel like the best place to start this is going to be at the beginning and why this came about, how I found this out, like everything. But I just want to say the reason that I can now talk about it is I received my diagnosis this week and I've been waiting so long. I do have a reason why I didn't want to talk about it before I got my official diagnosis, but we'll come into that a bit later. Like I said, I think the place to start all this is going to be like at the beginning, so I'm going to talk to you about how this came about. For reference, I've been waiting 5 years for this diagnosis. I've been waiting so long. I know my subscribers are lovely people, so I don't think any of you guys will be like this, but this isn't off TikTok. Like, when TikTok came out, was created, I had already been on the waiting list for 2 years, so this hasn't came off the back of TikTok. Right, where this came from is, right, hang on, I keep checking my lighting because the weather today is atrocious. I'm sorry if it looks really bright. I don't know. Anyway, so I've always known I've been different, kind of, and then the first time I was like, right, okay, yeah, I really need to go to the doctors, was my university open day. If you are new, I have been graduated from university for 2 years now, so it's been a while. My university open day, I studied psychology, was the first day that I started hearing about studies where it was like, neurotypical people do this, neurotypical people do that, and I was like, I don't do that. And I was like, right, okay, I should probably go get this sorted before I start university. That didn't happen. Basically, because I was self-employed, I was working pretty much all of the time before I went to university, so I didn't prioritize my health or anything like that at all. I just worked, and then I went to university. Then university kind of kicked it off. Honestly, I've been waiting for so long to talk to you guys about this. So I started uni and started my psychology degree, and if you don't know, my course was freaking hard, okay? Like, psychology is hard, then University of York make it very hard. There is a lot of reading. It's very difficult. And I got very overwhelmed very quickly. I hadn't started YouTube when I was in my first year of uni. I was in my first year. I think it was like after Christmas of my first year maybe. But before Christmas, this was literally like the first few weeks, I was like, something's not right. I was like, I'm not the same as everybody else. I was like, I remember being like, how is everyone getting this reading done? I haven't got a clue how anybody else is doing this. And then I was in a tutorial seminar. I was in a seminar with, it was like 14 of my course mates, and our seminars worked where we had to read a research paper before the seminar, and then we talked about the research paper in the seminar with a little bit of like a presentation as well, talking about the subject, and then it was mainly more of a discussion basis to talk about the paper. And I remember sitting there, and I had this very smart girl in my class. She is one of the most intelligent people I've ever met. And she was talking and I was like, how did she even, like, how did she think of those things at all? And then people were talking about the research paper and I was like, God, I struggle reading research papers anyway. The language in research papers are, in the majority, are horrific. And I'd struggled anyway, and then people were coming up with these concepts and I was like, God, like, how have people done this? And then there was a point where we had to read and somebody, like we had to say when we'd done reading and everybody had done and I was still going and I was like, Jesus Christ, what the heck is happening? So I got really upset. And this was on top of me knowing anyway that I think something was different. So I went to one of my lecturers who I liked from the lecture and went to him really upset and I was like, look, I don't know what's happening. I just feel like I can't do all this kind of stuff. And we mainly focused on reading when I was talking to him. He was like, try and just, he didn't even say, like, I don't think he said go to the doctors, but he was like, it sounds like it's dyslexic qualities, types of things that you've got. So you can use all, and he showed me a ton of different tools, which was very, very helpful because he had a lot of dyslexic supervisees, because he was a supervisor, so supervisees, I think is it, where they had dyslexia, so he knew the tools from them. So he showed me all of that, but he was like, but go to a doctor if that's what you want to, if you feel like that's going to be useful. So I had to wait till I changed GPs down in York and things like that. And I did that, and then I booked an appointment, and before the appointment I wrote a load of things down, and I went into this appointment with the doctor and I was like, look, this is all of the things, and I'm not going to go through it straight away because I'll get all that. I'm not going to go through the symptoms, or traits is a better word for it. But if I use them interchangeably, I mean traits of autism that I have in myself. But I was like, this happens and this happens and this happens, and she was lovely. Oh no, wasn't even her the first time. The first time I went into this, went to the doctors, I went in telling all of these things. And if you are new or you haven't seen like some videos where I've mentioned it, I was diagnosed with depression when I was 15. I think I was 15. I was diagnosed with depression and I was on antidepressants and had therapy. And obviously you can see that in my notes. And this first doctor that I went to, she said that I had depression again. And I got really upset because I was like, I got upset in the appointment because obviously, well, not obviously, but I take authority figures very, very seriously. I'm like, right, they know what they're talking about. And I got upset in the appointment, cried because I was just like, I thought I'd done this, like I thought I'd beaten this kind of thing. So I got upset and then I left and I was like, it's not that. And I rang Jack and I was like, I do not think it's depression again. I was like, I just don't think that's what this is. I don't feel the like, I had very similar symptoms to depression, but without the kind of like sadness. Like I was saying to Jack, I was like, I don't feel sad, I feel happy a lot of the time. And one of the things that the doctor kind of clung on to was that I cry a lot, which will come up with my ASD. But I was like, I said to Jack, I was like, I'm not crying because I'm upset, I'm crying because I'm frustrated that I can't get my brain to work properly. And he was like, go see another doctor. And then I went and saw my supervisor at uni, and she was not good about it either. I went to her with basically the conundrum of being like, the doctor said it's this, I don't think this is, what do I do? Because obviously my supervisor was working within the psychology department. I thought it was a really good place to ask these questions. So I went to her, explained all my traits, and she was like, no, it's depression. And I was like, right. And then she actually told me, because the doctor had asked if I wanted to go back on antidepressants, and I knew I had exams coming up soon, like studying for exams, because this was before the Christmas break. And she was like, do the antidepressants, get on them now. She was like, let's go talk to your exams, like the exam officer, to make sure, to see if you could not do these exams. And then she literally like took me to the exam officer to talk to her, and I was like, I don't, like in my head I was like, I don't want to go on antidepressants, this isn't what I think it is. But she was like, no, it's that, you'll be fine, don't worry. She was nice about it if I had depression, but I didn't have depression. So I came out from that, and that even kind of like, it stood me in more ground that I was like, no, this isn't it, this isn't what I think it is. So I went back to a doctor, and she was really, really attentive. She asked why, because obviously she was able to see what the other doctor had said. She was like, why don't you think it's that? I was like, it doesn't feel the same as last time. I'm not feeling sad. And she asked why I got upset, and I was like, well, I thought I'd beaten this. And then she said that I had it, and then I don't even think that's what it is. I'm sorry if it's getting darker, and if you can tell I'm using a ring light, it's just the rain has started again. And she was like, right, okay, and listened to me with everything. And she actually said she thought it was inattentive ADHD, which you might have heard of ADD, but that isn't really a thing anymore. In the classification system, ADHD is actually now just all one big thing, and you can have inattentive, like, more focused, or like hyperactivity more focused, or just general ADHD, but it's not ADD anymore. But that's what it used to be. So she was like, I think it's inattentive ADHD. I'll refer you for an assessment for ADHD. And I was like, right, okay. And it was like, I felt so good that it wasn't a mental health thing. It was more of a disorder thing. And I was like, right, this feels right, this feels right. And I went downstairs and I had to fill in some forms to get referred. And I remember it said autism and ADHD, because they're grouped in within the same service. And I was like, I remember giving me my form, and I'm maybe in like, I don't know why it says autism on there, like, not in like an arrogant way, but just being like, well, I don't have autism. And I filled out my form. And then this is where it all goes downhill, essentially. So, like I mentioned, this was before a Christmas break that this all happened. And this was probably like once my referral went, I think it was a few weeks before the Christmas break. So I came home, had Christmas break, went back, checked my mail, and I had a letter that was asking for, I think it was asking for more information. And then I was like, I didn't know what it meant. So I rang them up and they were like, you've been discharged from the service. And I was like, what do you mean I've been discharged from the service? Was this even in the right, honestly, this was so long ago, I can't even remember what order it went in. It might not even have been that. They might have asked for more information first. I can't even remember. Anyway, we'll go with it was this first, and then I'll tell you more, and I'll tell you which way I think it might have went. They asked for more information, but obviously I was on Christmas break, so I didn't get the letter. And they did it where if I don't reply within 2 weeks, I get discharged from the service, which is ridiculous, because I did ring them as well. Like, before I went, I rang them and was like, by the way, I'm going home for Christmas. Can you send any correspondence up to this address instead if you need to, like, contact me? If not, like, if it's after Christmas, I'll be back in York. And then I got discharged because I didn't reply in time, which is ridiculous. So I had to get re-referred to the service and then give them extra information. Well, they wanted proof, they wanted evidence. And I don't talk to my mum, so I didn't, and I'm pretty sure she doesn't have a lot of the stuff that I need anyway, like school reports and things like that. So I went back to the doctor, I had an appointment with her. I was like, they're asking for more information. I don't have any. I'm classed as estranged from my parents. I don't have any, but I can give you this list that I've got, which I've made for myself, like a massive list talking about all my traits, things I've struggled with, things that happened. And she was like, that's perfect. I'll photocopy that and send it over. I was like, right, brilliant. So then I had to go back to the end of the wait. Not, this bit isn't the waiting list. This is just like the waiting list to get accepted onto the waiting list. So that happened again. Sent that information over. Didn't hear from them for a few months. And then they came back and were like, we don't think there's enough evidence for ADHD, but from the traits that are listed, we will refer you for autism. And I was like, right? At this point, I was like, right, I'll have anything. But at the same time as this, I asked the doctor suggested this, I didn't ask. The doctor suggested going to my university disability service and asking if I can have any help whilst I'm waiting for my assessment. So I did that. I booked an appointment with the disability service and explained the situation. She was lovely about it. She was like, of course, we'll help you any way we can. She was like, from our point of view, we'll assume that you have an ASD diagnosis, but in terms of exams and stuff, we basically will need a letter saying that you've been referred, and then we can get you some extra time and things like that. So because she was like, we'll help you with the traits anyway, you can come see me. I think it was once every 2 weeks or once a week. And I'll help you with any extra study things that you need. So I was seeing her every week or every 2 weeks, I can't remember. And I got my ASD letter and I told her about it. And then as time went on, I was talking about all these things that I struggle with the disability officer, and it just, as I like talked more about it, she was just like, right, that's very interesting, because that's actually an autistic trait rather than an ADHD trait. And just that was said at least like once a week, and I was just like, right. And then like it just, as it kept going more and more into my head, and obviously the more I learned about it at university, because I was still studying psychology, it was just like everything clicked. Like it was just like I was like, right, because it wasn't learning stuff about me, it was learning stuff about other people, and realizing that not everybody thinks the way I do, and not everybody goes about life the way that my brain goes about life. There has been so many things that I have learned where it's an autistic trait, and then I'm like, do you not do that to Jack? And he's like, no. And I'm like, but what do you mean? And like, it doesn't even cross my mind that not everybody is the way that I was. So it was more learning that other people had these incredible abilities to go about university life or socializing and things like that. And I was actually, I had the disability, I was behind everyone, and really I was actually playing catch up to be at everybody else's normal pace. And it was just, the more I learned about it, the more I was like, oh my god, like how didn't I know that this isn't me? So anyway, that was happening. And then I was still on the waiting list. I kept ringing. I kept being like, am I being seen soon? Because it was getting to like the 1 year mark and then the 2 year mark. And so I got referred for the first time in November. And that was what? So we're in so that'll have been 2017. I'm coming to you on September 2022. And I just got my diagnosis. So when I moved back up home, when COVID happened, I had to be discharged from York service and re-referred to Northumberland service, and I didn't get given any special priority. I got put to the back of the line again, and there was nothing anyone could do. It was literally just like, no, you're gonna have to go over to the back of the line, even though I'd been waiting 2 years already down in York. So this is why it's taken so long. And then, if you guys remember in the COVID video, I told you I had a really important appointment. I had my assessment appointment that week that we got COVID. So I'd waited pretty much 4.5 years for that appointment. And the one time that we got COVID, I had my ASD assessment. So it's been such a long road, and it's been so freaking difficult, because I know like it's such a broad topic, and I can't wait to talk more about it with you guys, like because it's been such a, without sounding cringy as hell, it's been such a like journey of discovery. If Oakley might be pressing his button, just an FYI, if you hear my voice over there say out, it's him. It's been such a journey of discovery for who I am, but within the most difficult years of my life, within doing university was so freaking hard for me. Like, it was so freaking hard. And I actually, after that supervisor did that and told me to go on antidepressants and stuff, I actually asked to change supervisor because I wasn't comfortable with her. And my second supervisor, Alex, he was just so incredible. Like, he was so incredible. And he didn't even like I told him what was going on, and he was like, okay. Like, he was literally like, right, okay. And in his head, I think he was just like, right, she's autistic. And he trusted my judgment with it. And he knew how much I was struggling. And he would always be like, but Sarah, you need to stop setting such high expectations of yourself, because I do this in everything. I did it in school, I do it everywhere. I expect myself to do the best that I possibly can. And now I've had to like accept the fact that I'm not even the same as everybody else. My best is a lot of other people's, not worst, but like they're kind of trying, like I am disabled, but I've been fighting my entire life as an abled person when I have a disabled person's brain. So university was so freaking hard. And then COVID was atrocious. Like, it was so bad. And I think if anybody has any autistic people in their life, they'll understand how hard that was for us. We couldn't have any routine that we wanted. If you don't know much about autism, I'll go into it in a second, but if you have people with autism in your life, you'll know, like, the routine was gone. We couldn't do anything. Keep in mind, I was battling an eating disorder at the same time, and people weren't sticking to the rules. If you don't know autism, we can't not stick to the rules, and it drives us insane when other people don't stick to the rules. Not even like COVID, literally, like, I used to freaking hate it when people used to like skip ahead in a lecture. Like, if I could see their screens, even like rules like that, we hate it. And then everybody was breaking the rules with COVID. People would stand too close to me. I became like a germaphobe. It was awful. It was awful. So then with that, and then with Oakley, this has been the biggest thing that has been hard not to talk to you guys about, because my autism has interplayed with him so much, like so much. I've discovered a lot of my autistic traits just by having him, and it's been really hard to talk about how hard it is without help, like being able to tell you why it's so difficult. Like, it is, I've been going through a hard time discovering that I have autism and understanding that not everybody else is like me. And then I've just had like as I've just said, the hardest times of my life. But I had my assessment this week and I have been diagnosed as autistic, and I've been so happy ever since. Like, I'm so happy. And another thing as well is, like, it went so well. It went so well, and I was dreading it. I was dreading it so much, because the stuff that I've heard about autism assessments is awful. Like, people have told me, well, not told me, but like, I follow a lot of autistic creators. I've mentioned them before, but Ella, they're autistic, and their TikTok helped me a lot. I will link them below. But they've talked about their assessment, and other people have just talked about how horrific it is, and having to do these stupid tasks to like prove you're autistic and things like that. And these tasks were, I was dreading them. Dreading them. If you've not heard of any, there's things where you have to, like, they ask you to brush your teeth. Like, not brush your teeth, but they ask you to pretend to brush your teeth. And then like awful. And then they show you like a picture, and they like make a story out of the picture. Or then they're like, bring 3 things in from home, make a story from those 3 things at home. They are freaking awful. Like, the idea of doing that made me feel so unsettled, and I was so nervous I was going to be asked to do it. I was also really, really nervous they were going to ask me to bring someone in, because when you're a child in some adult services, they require you to bring somebody from your childhood in to talk about how you were as a child, to make sure that this has been present since childhood. And like I've said, I don't talk to my mum, I don't talk to my dad. My grandparents are of a different generation and don't understand this, and that's a different thing altogether that I'm not going to talk about, because it's not my place when they don't like the internet. But they're a different generation. I didn't want to take them in, so I was worried about that. But guys, it went so well. It went so well. If you want a separate video about me talking about it, I'll do that, because I am worried about how long this video is going to be. We're already at 25 minutes and I'm just worried about how long it's going to be, so I'll not talk about it now. But if you want a video about that, I will do that. I might even do it if people don't ask. But the assessment went so well. I am over the moon with the lady that I had. She was incredible. She had autistic children, so she knew what she was talking about. She obviously read up-to-date research and stuff, because she knew about how females present different than males, and it was so good. And I just feel like I feel like, I don't know, I don't really believe in any higher power or the universe or anything, but it felt like the universe has went, you know what, you waited 5 years, have a nice assessment, and it just went so lovely. And I didn't think I was going to get it this week. I haven't even planned this video in. I thought it was going to happen the end of the year, because a lot of the time you need to have two assessors say that you're autistic. But she told me that I could have a condensed assessment because beforehand I sent so much information in. So for your assessment, you need to fill in a form that asks you very specific questions. But alongside that, I actually sent in a Word document. Oh, I have it printed out, but I've left it in the car and Jack's took the car. I have a Word document listing all of my traits, so I can actually show you, because I wrote it on my phone because it was the type of thing where every time I figured out that something was an autistic trait that wasn't what everybody else did, I wrote it down. So here we go. Hopefully you can see how long this is. So this is all of it. It is huge. So I wrote that up and sent it to the service for my assessor to be able to see before the assessment. And she said because I sent that over, I was able to have a more condensed assessment. And she gave me 3 outcomes. Again, I'll not go into huge detail with this because I'll do this in another video, but she was able to give me an assessment on the day instead of having another appointment, and I didn't think it was going to happen, but I was in there for like 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and we just talked through everything. And like halfway through, she was like, obviously I'm going to finish the assessment, but so far I do get the feeling that you're an autistic person. And I was just like, okay. And she was like, I was trying to hold myself together, and then she was like, how does that make you feel? And I just cried because it's just so validating. Like, it's so validating. I'll get on to this more in a second, where I talk about like why I wasn't comfortable talking about it, but it's just so validating to have someone say that, and being in your official assessment, and then she says that wow. She says that halfway through. It was so freaking good. And yeah, finished the assessment, and I am autistic, so I got the outcome that I wanted. Okay, so in terms of why I didn't talk about it before, there is a whole load of reasons. I was put off about talking about controversial topics because of Oakley. I've talked about it before, there's a whole video on this, but I got a lot of hate for the way I've raised Oakley. And if you're not in this sphere, you might not know, but self-diagnosis of autism is actually a really controversial topic. And if I came on YouTube and called myself autistic before I had the credentials, basically the doctor being like, yeah, you're autistic, I would have been put on that controversial side, and I just wasn't willing to do it again. Like, with me doing it with Oakley, I've done it, like, and I am so in awe of the people who can do that and who are brave enough to do it, and I love that for them. And I actually have been calling myself autistic for probably about 1.5 years now to new people and telling people, but saying that I have my assessment coming up, but my camera cut off and it's really, really difficult for me to see like where it cut off, so hopefully you heard all that last bit. But I just wasn't willing to get into this conversation with people on the internet, but I am so in awe of everyone that can do that, and I just want to put that out there. And if you're watching this and you think you are autistic, I do think self-diagnosis is valid. Like, I do, because I've been there. I understand there are so many reasons why you might not be able to get a proper diagnosis, and if you're watching this wanting to learn about autism, or if you're a subscriber that doesn't really know anything about autism, sometimes people can't do like an official assessment because it costs money if you want to do it privately. If you don't want to do it privately, you're waiting a very long time. Look at, like, it literally just took me 4.5 years to get my assessment from my first appointment. There are some very controversial stuff that's happened to a lot of people with autism the last few years, not even the last few years, like in general. I nearly didn't go through with my appointment because I have always had a dream of emigrating at some point in my life, and I've always seen myself as emigrating to New Zealand, and I'm not going to be allowed to do that anymore. Australia and New Zealand don't let autistic people in. Like, I can holiday there, but I'll never be able to move there now because their visas they don't allow autistic people to live there. And that really, really shocked me. It really, really broke my heart because I've always imagined myself there, and I'm not allowed, essentially. They won't let me in. And another thing that happened more recently was in the COVID outbreak. And this is heartbreaking, but an automatic DNR got put onto our NHS profiles. Obviously not me, because I hadn't had my diagnosis yet, but do not resuscitate went on everybody who was autistic's NHS profile because we were deemed as less valuable to save. It's disgusting, it's vile, and I know some people won't believe me about those two things. The woman yesterday, I told her about the New Zealand thing, she didn't even know that, and she was like, that can't be right, and I was like, it is. And you know what, it's vile. It's absolutely disgusting. So some people choose not to because of those reasons. Like, my life is literally not worthy as neurotypical people. Like, if I got down with, if I had COVID really, really bad during the outbreak, and it was between me and a neurotypical person's life to be saved, I wouldn't have been. So there are so many valid reasons to not want a diagnosis. In America, it can affect like life insurance and everything. Like, there are so many reasons that you might not be able to or want to get an assessment. So self-diagnosis is valid, but I will caveat that with saying not everybody on TikTok has autism. And not everybody in the world has autism. This is a very controversial take. Some people in the autistic community might not agree with me here, but I want to talk about it a little bit. I'm not going to talk about it for ages because, like I said, this video is already very long, but I just want to make my stance clear in case I get any comments about this. Please don't say to me, like my son, he's a bit autistic, I'm pretty sure. I think everybody's on the spectrum. It is not okay. And even if there are autistic people out there who believe that everybody's on the spectrum, that is fine. But please, if you meet someone with autism, please don't tell us that you think everybody's on the spectrum. It is so, I would say, disheartening. From my perspective, I find it is really disheartening that everybody thinks they're on a spectrum. That causes me so much distress. Like, I am disabled. Like, that is literally within law and within psychology, I am disabled. And for people to say, oh, well, I think everybody's on the spectrum, it's so dismissing of the fact that I struggle to get through life. And it's like, okay, but do you cry if you have an appointment cancelled? Like, do you second guess everything about your life? Like, people don't understand how difficult life is for people with autism in so many aspects of just living with it, of having it, but then also the stigma, and also having people say crap like this to you and being like, oh, they're riddled with autism. It's so minging. Please don't say it to people. I know you're just trying to relate, and I know you're just trying to be like, oh no, you're fine, it's okay. Just don't do it. The last thing I'm going to talk about really quickly, again, is just because like this is like my first video about it, and I want people to know about it before they like comment on it, is if you know a male with autism, or you know a young child with autism, just because I don't act like them doesn't mean that I don't have it, okay? So females present very, very differently to males, and also we mask very, very well. So masking is basically trying to act neurotypical, and I've done that my entire life. That's how I didn't know that not everybody was pretending to be what people are. I thought everyone was pretending. Turns out they're not. I am. I'm not going to present in the same way that your, I don't know, your 6-year-old nephew or your 6-year-old son might present. Oh, please doing zoomies in his bed. I apologise. But it is not, this is going to sound brutal, and this isn't for all of you. This is for somebody who's watching this thinking, I don't think you're autistic. That is not your call. You see a very small portion of me on this channel, and like I have said before, I don't share a lot of the stuff that is my autistic breakdowns and things like that because I wasn't comfortable to talk about it. That isn't to say I'm fake on my channel. I feel most myself on my YouTube channel, and I know that sounds fake, but it isn't. The only thing that I don't show is the bit where I have my breakdowns, the bits that I'm struggling with, and even then I talk about it a lot. I just haven't labelled it as autism. The flight issues that I have is my autism, so you already know a lot of the stuff that I struggle with. I just haven't labelled it as that. But please don't comment being like, oh, I don't know if that's right. The reason I didn't talk about it is I needed this to be like, I am autistic, and I've had people verify this. It's not just something I've made up. It's not just something that I've seen on TikTok and seen, oh yeah, I relate to that. Oh yeah, I relate to that. I literally, this list that I sent in was 3 pages long on a size 10 font. There are so many facets to me that are autistic, to the fact that in my assessment, I didn't even, like, we just talked about surface level stuff. Like, literally, there's so much we didn't talk about, and she was able to say halfway through that she was pretty confident I was autistic. Like, please don't comment saying that you don't think I am, because I am. I am so confident in this that my family have even went, really? And I've went, yeah. Like, like, of course there's a little bit of imposter syndrome, but I have no doubt that I'm autistic, and I'm pleased with that. So just please don't comment saying that you don't think I am. Okay, I'm not going to talk any longer. I don't think it's very valuable of me to sit here and be like, this is what I struggle with, this is what my autistic traits are. That isn't because I'm not okay talking about them. I am so okay talking about them. I am ready. I am here to talk about it. But I just don't think it's valuable, and I don't think it's very interesting, because it will literally just turn into a list, like, of me going through things. But if you do want to hear my, like, top struggles or things that are autistic me that you might not know is autism or things like that, I will do a video on it, but you need to comment and let me know if that is what you want. Again, the same with the assessment video. But I will say throughout other videos you're gonna see it. Like, I am gonna talk about it now. I don't want you to, right. I don't know the future of my channel, okay? I don't know if this is gonna turn into a very big theme of my channel, because it is something I'm passionate about. But one thing I would say is, if you are subscribed and you're like, I don't want to just watch neurodivergent topics or just neurodivergent videos where it's all I'm talking about is autism, please don't unsubscribe yet. It's not going to be all my videos are talking about autism, but I will say there is no getting rid of this, and I will talk about it in a lot of videos. If you disagree with me, I'm happy to have a conversation first about it with you as to why you disagree. But I always say, if you don't like what you're following, if what you're watching makes you feel, I don't know, angry or sad in any way, please click unsubscribe. I don't want to be that for anyone, but I don't know the future of my channel, so please don't unsubscribe just because I've said I'm autistic and you're worried that it's all going to be autism content. But it is going to be talked about a lot, and I'm really excited about it. I'm so excited that I can talk about it now and be like, this is autism and this is autism. I think it'll be really valuable for a lot of people, because I don't think a lot of people will have known that I am, And whenever I say it to people in real life, because like I say, I've been telling people for a long time in person, a lot of people are like, oh really? And then I have to explain it. So I do think it'll be valuable, and you might learn some stuff and being like, God, I didn't even know that was autism. It's happened in my family. And like, people are like, that's autism, and I'm like, yeah, that's why I do that. So I do think it'll be really, really valuable, and I'm very, very happy and very excited to share it with you, and I will do any content you want to see. I would like to do some videos on it. I've been waiting for 5 years, so I would like to do some. So if you have any requests for it, please let me know. But I'm going to end this video here and say thank you so much for watching, and I hope everybody's understanding with it. And yeah, I'm just really, really excited to share it with you. And yeah, this is it. This is it. There's so much more I want to talk about, but I'm trying to like hold it all in because I don't want to make this video like an hour long. It probably is, but I will leave it there. If you did enjoy it, please make sure to like it. It will help with me panic. No, it will help with me not panic that people are being, I don't know, discriminatory and being like, oh, just autistic. If you like it, I'll be like, ah, people aren't being discriminatory. Like I said, if you have any questions, any video like topics you want me to do, I will do them, so just comment. If you want to ask a question but you don't want your like name attached to it, I do have a Crush Ninja link in my description box where you can send questions without like your name being attached, because I know sometimes it can be quite like vulnerable asking certain questions, but I am an open book, which is part of the autism, so I will answer anything. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to like, comment and subscribe, and I shall hopefully see you in another video on whatever it is, but I will hopefully see you in another video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.